Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, to the most magical podcast in the Midwest. That's right, the Magic in the Midwest podcast, starring USA Today best-selling author J.B. Michaels and his more successful wife, Ashley Michaels. And now, your hosts. All right, everybody. Hi, it's J.B.
And Ash.
Yeah, and Ash. And welcome to the 92nd episode of the Magic in the Midwest podcast. We have a very active, crazy bearded dragon.
Maybe I should throw some blueberries in there.
Yeah, she needs the blueberries. Yeah. But the bearded dragon Rose in our house is flying around her habitat like crazy. She must be hungry, so we're going to attempt to give her some food here. Yeah, she's maybe she's letting us know that that's what she wants. Yes, so welcome to 92, everybody, and boy, oh boy, do we have a lot to talk about, and we're going to have a lot to talk about for the next, I would say, couple months worth of podcasts, because we just got back from our 2022 magical trip to Walt Disney World and its 50th anniversary. So we are, we have a lot to say. We've got a lot to review. We just have a wealth of content to bring to you, and hope you enjoy it. Also, this podcast is brought to you by the many works of J.B. Michaels. So go to MrMichaels.com, go to Amazon, Barnes & Noble, wherever you like to buy your books, and check out the works of J.B. I've got a book on pre-order right now. The fifth book in the Mac and Millie mystery series, Raftery's Ghost. And Raftery's Ghost is so far getting great reviews. People are really enjoying it. Another murder mystery. This time it takes place on one dark and stormy night. Yes. Ooh. In one place.
I don't know. That was a weird reaction for me.
The Tiny Wanderer. Yes, it's gonna be awesome. So I'm very excited for that. Comes out on September 23rd. But if you are local and you go to the Little Traveler in Geneva on September 22nd, you'll be able to get the signed paperback copy. Well, I will be there signing copies for Raftery's Ghost.
What is this? I forgot.
September 22nd.
Okay.
Yeah, it's a Thursday, I believe. Yes. It's a weird day, but I guess that's when we're doing it, And then, of course, ladies and gentlemen, what else do we have going on? Ashley? What,
Do we have something else going on?
Yes, another person helps us.
Oh, that.
With the magical
Yeah,
dreams.
I thought you were talking about, like, events. That's sort of how you made it sound.
Okay.
Anyways, we've talked about her on every podcast. Emily over at Magical Mouse Travel. She is a travel agent that specializes in Disney, Universal, and Disney Cruise Line. We have met her through the podcast and become great friends. She is just super awesome, very knowledgeable, also from the Midwest. And she can help you with all of your Disney, Universal related travels. And
yes.
She does it all. She'll come up with like a customized itinerary for you, book restaurant stuff. Restaurant stuff?
She'll book restaurant
stuff.
So we want some napkins, some forks, some knives.
Yeah, she'll do the dining for you, which, all that stuff is kind of a headache. You have to call very early, and there's very limited dining reservations right now. So that, and book your resort, of course, and she has lots of knowledge and experience with Genie Plus and all the things, so we definitely recommend her, especially if you haven't been to Disney in a while, or even if you have, definitely take use of her services. They are free of charge, and you can reach her via email, Emily@magicalmousetravel.com. And if you do reach out to her, just let her know that we sent you over.
Yes.
Did I cover it?
I think you did. Emily at Magical Mouse Travel.
She's just the best. I know. I think I try to get through all the things, but I adore her. She's great. She's an amazing human being, and
and she's just, and she also will help you book Universal. I know you said that, but she also her review of the last Jurassic World movie was really funny.
Super amazing.
She goes, honestly, it's not great, but I loved it. So So
I think we all can relate to reviews like that.
Yeah, sometimes a movie's not super solid, but if you're loving it,
you're a fan.
You're loving
love
it.
it.
Yeah, who cares? That I understand. So. So we, just a lot going on, you guys, a lot going on, very exciting stuff happening. Today we thought we would, talk about the first thing that everybody I think has been wondering about, especially listeners of this podcast, is Genie Plus, and is it worth it, and how did it go when you guys used it, and what was the best way to use it, and so here's the other thing in regards to us using Genie Plus. So, a little bit of a disclaimer. We obviously were staying on resort property. So we have a distinct advantage of, if you go in the morning, for the most part, it's useful if you're going in the morning.
No.
Yeah, I mean, it can be useful. Yeah, I mean, you could still...
It can be both ways. It depends on the park, but yeah.
Yeah, no, I mean...
Because we did stacking that one night, and that was arguably our best experience with Genie Plus, probably.
Yeah, but what I'm saying, the 7 a.m. didn't matter, because we weren't going in the park until late. So the booking windows were not filling up. You know what I mean? The booking windows were not filling up. So we're going to get to that. Ashley's wrong, but we're going to get to that.
Your reviews are just all over the place sometimes. Like, I would... Okay, just keep going. This is not good.
So I'm just introing.
Happy Father's Day.
Gosh. So, so basically, the idea behind this is, we're just going to give you our experience, and we're going to give you, the pluses and minuses of it. Because we, I think you're going to find what we have to say surprising. So we'll see. But yeah, I mean, it'll be interesting to see what happens. Well, I think so, because... I
mean, there were pros and cons, and I was definitely surprised by our experience
in
a few different ways.
Right. And another disclaimer. We're gonna stick to Genie Plus, okay? Because, we also did do individual lightning lanes, which are not Genie Plus. So, individual lightning lanes are separate. So we're going to talk solely about Genie Plus. It will say we did individual lightning lanes, as well.
Why can't we? I mean, we only did like 2.
No, we did like 3. We did 3.
All right. Well, we can talk about it if we get to it. I think that they're kind of intertwined a little.
Well, but I wanna make sure people know the distinction, because I don't want us talking about something.
I know.
And you know what I mean? And then, because when we don't want to mislead people. I think they all
have brain cells, and they can figure it out if we say this was an individual lightning lane. Because I do feel like some of our Genie Plus reservations and how we went about it was impacted by one of us trying to get a lightning lane and one of us trying to get a Genie Plus reservation, which is, so it's intertwined a little bit.
You already confused it. Individual lightning lane.
Individual lightning lane and a Genie Plus reservation at the same time. That's not confusing. That's exactly what it is.
You said lightning lane. And lightning lanes are what you use in Genie Plus as well.
It's going to be one of those podcasts where you...
Just try to get the vernacular done.
Drink enough.
Well,
coffee or something.
We got to make sure we're clear. Are you ready?
I think I would have done a better job introing it, but I think you've made it already more confusing than it needs to be. What do you mean, go ahead? JB just got up and left, guys. It's how he operates.
No, I didn't talk.
Well, you already did it. So what do you want me to say? I don't know. He's plugging something in, guys. I don't know. Just not organized. The typical. No, I just think that, because we stayed on property, we were able to book at 7 a.m., which is a distinct advantage. So if you're not staying on property, we can't really speak to that. But I have to think that with the more popular rides, that this probably makes a decent amount of difference. I don't know. But so take that into consideration. And yes, we opted to buy Genie Plus for every single day we were there, for every single person. We used it every day we were there.
Yeah, and we used it because, we had our in-laws, our Ashley's parents are, they're in great shape and they're in great health, but we just also didn't,
Well, and we want to be able to review it too, because it's new and it's kind of like
Right.
the new Fast Pass, but
Yeah.
pay for it a little bit. So yeah, but we also did opt to use the additionally paid for Lightning Lane. What is it called?
The individual
Lightning lanes.
That's how, if you're looking in the app, it will say individual lightning lane. So, and those are, those are, they're, like Ash said, they're another price above, it's not part of Genie Plus. So you could do that without getting Genie Plus. So if you wanted just to get on Rise of the Resistance, that's the only thing you wanted to pay for, the only Fast Pass type of thing that you wanted to pay for, you could, and you could have just, you could opt not to buy Genie Plus for that day. And, so, yeah.
I think
so
we should go park by park.
We did, it worked, the 7 a.m. worked for us because you could book it, the Rise of the Resistance individual Lightning Lane, but also you could book, your first, the first thing that goes in the Genie Plus rides was Slinky Dog. We didn't worry about that the first day. So because we were like, we're going to be back. So we had 2 days in Hollywood Studios, so we did not worry about getting Slinky Dog.
Can we pause for a sec so I can explain something?
Yeah.
So the way that it works for just the regular Genie Plus, if you use that, is that you will sign in the morning in the app and look at what's available. And you don't get to just pick what time you want to come back. Essentially, the rides, the Genie Plus reservations start at whatever time the park opens. And then as the day goes and more people reserve them, the time moves further and further back. So it's not like you can just log in and look at Small World and say, I want to come back and ride Small World at 6. It doesn't work that way. So the way it works is that usually those more popular rides, like right now at Magic Kingdom, it's Jungle Cruise, tend to go first. So when you log in the morning, you're going to see that it might already be at 2 p.m., if you look right at 7 or, a few minutes after 7 or 3 p.m. or whatever. So you can't, it's not like picking and choosing and then also picking and choosing the window. So you sort of have to think about when you're going to be in the park, what rides you want to do. And then you also might say like, look, we really want to do Big Thunder, but we're not going to be in the park till later. And right now the Genie Plus is saying that the reserve window is between 1:30 and 2:30. So you might say to yourself, all right, we're not going to do that for this reservation. We're going to do something else. And then we're going to look next time we can book something and see if that window has been pushed back late enough that we want to reserve it then.
Yeah, so which is what I meant at the beginning of the podcast. Like if you're going in the morning or you're going at night, you might have to wait a while and keep checking the Genie Plus tip board to get to the point where your rides that you want to ride and start booking are in the window that you're going to actually be in the park. So if it's like 6 o'clock, you might have to wait a little bit to get to Splash Mountain, which will have a comeback at 6 o'clock, So
yeah,
it's like a Fast Pass. It's literally take the old school, if you're a Disney fan, you've been to Disney parks, take the old school way of Fast Pass and just put it in a phone app where people are just reserving it virtually. Instead of walking to the kiosk that has the window, there's a certain amount of Genie Plus reservations, like, Lightning lanes that are given out per hour, and, that just keeps pushing it further and further back.
But yeah, you don't get to just schedule it, you know what I mean, like pick like 6 o'clock. You have to wait till each ride gets to that point. So there are some that go kind of quickly and are gone in the first couple hours of the day. And then there are some that can be available on the spot.
Right.
You can look and say, and I think the other thing we should talk about is, and we still got a little confused by this, is if you're on property, you can book your first Genie Plus reservation starting at 7 a.m. And then from there, it's after you use, let's say you book one for in the morning and you use it, you can book another one. Or you have to wait, let's say you book one that's further out into the evening because it was super popular and kind of like Slinky Dog goes very quickly. You can wait, the next time you can book it would be 2 hours after the park opens. And then from there, it's 2 hours after you've made the reservation or after you've used your most recent reservation, I believe is how it works.
Yeah. So, so it's one of those things. The app will tell you.
Yeah, so if you get a little confused, you can go look and it'll tell you when you can make your next
Yeah, it says, you're not eligible to make another, Genie Plus Lightning Lane reservation until,
whatever time.
10:23 or whatever, or 10:30. Right. So our first day, knowing now we did research. We told you guys we watched videos. We did some research on it. Our first day, we decided we're not going to go for Slinky Dog. We're just because we're going into Hollywood Studios that morning, and we weren't sure if we were going back that night or what our plan was.
And we knew we had another day in Hollywood Studios, so we're like, we'll worry about that another day.
Right. So our first, we did get a evening Rise of the Resistance individual Lightning Lane in the morning that day. We went into our first day in the parks. And we also booked Rock and Roller Coaster for the morning. That was our first Genie Plus reservation. So that was great. We as soon as we tapped in to Rock and Roller Coaster, I booked Star Tours right after that. Mm-hmm. Okay, and as soon as I, booked Star Tours, tapped into Star Tours, I got Smuggler's Run. Right. So it was boom, boom, boom. It was awesome. And it's funny because Smuggler's Run was early afternoon, I want to say. By the time we got to it, or got it, wasn't it in the afternoon? Right.
So we weren't necessarily doing them in that order. We were booking them in that order.
Right. Yeah. So our first day, that went really smooth. It was Genie Plus. We got on a lot of, decent rides, saved a lot of time. And, that was a really good, I think not going for the most popular, helped us that day because we got to go on a few really quickly because we just kept booking right after we tapped in.
Before we sign off here, I'll give a recommendation of a video we watched that really helped. But essentially, you'll see the trend of because people are booking at 7, and then from there, every 2 hours after the park opens, you'll see the most, which at Hollywood Studios is Slinky Dog, will go first. And it's then at that 2 hour mark, then I think Smuggler's Run goes. And by not trying to get Slinky Dog, we kind of put ourselves one ahead of the curve of it sort of disappearing and being out of time. So actually when we went into the park, we waited for Mickey and Minnie's just in the regular standby line, and then we headed over to Rock and Roller Coaster after that, and the Mickey and Minnie's regular wait time was probably around a half hour.
Right, and that's a really cool thing. We had a little bit of an advantage as well because the park does have a half hour early entry for resort guests as well. So we got there about 8:22, but the park opened at 8:30. But we were able to basically just jump ahead of a huge swath of people waiting for the 8:30.
Those 8 minutes allowed us to not wait in line super long
for Mickey and Minnie's. Yeah, it was really fast. So we did get to Mickey and Minnie's. So that's one cool thing about Genie Plus as well. If you're willing to, usually in the beginning of the day is the best way to do this. Really, if you've got a Genie Plus booked early, you can get into a standby line early as well. And that will not be that long of a wait. So really, in a way, you're sort of getting a bonus, fast line, very short line, because you're going in right away and you're going to a section or a ride right away and getting on right away because of park open. And if you take advantage of early entry, and I get early entry from that standpoint. If you can get there, just in time to get in front of all those people.
I mean, essentially that's what it is. It's a half hour for you to skip
get in
the
front
crowd.
of a bunch of people. Yeah. Getting having to go through the gates to get inside the park. Because
there was a huge swarm of people waiting.
But they did not open the ride until 8:30.
Right. You're basically waiting in a line that's not moving. Just reserving a place, kind of just standing there.
Once it opens at 8:30, you're going to be on the ride pretty quickly.
Well, they didn't like. That's interesting because the line was moving from the minute we got into it. Maybe because it took us that long to get over there.
Yeah, it was about 8:30 when it,
because we didn't stand there at all.
No, we kept moving. Yeah, so interesting. Yeah, I know because there's been a weird that was different. Early magic hours before back a few years ago was the rides were actually open.
I think some are actually open and some are not.
Maybe, yeah. I know that sometimes yes, sometimes no. It's just weird with how they do that sometimes. But it was at certain points where it was just it was open. So we did okay. So Genie Plus really helped us have a really pleasant morning. Early afternoon in Hollywood Studios. Mm-hmm. It went really well. So, and then we booked some more for the evening as well. But we went in the evening, and our individual lightning lane for Rise was refunded because Rise went down, and it was a later in the day type reservation for that day, so that happened. Go ahead.
No, I just we didn't have the best experience with that, not just because it closed down, but we'll touch back on that another time because there was some miscommunication between cast members and guest services, and we encountered that a number of times. So we will hit on that later.
Right. When we do our our chronological stuff. And then of course we did use it in Genie Plus in Animal Kingdom, and I think in one way, Genie Plus is worth it in Animal Kingdom if you don't want to wait in the Kilimanjaro Safaris line, but we still waited a little bit in that line, but oh my god, it cut down on it so much.
Guys, because I really like that attraction. I despise the line. It's hot. It doesn't move. It's the worst. Some people may disagree. It's one of those lines for me that I can't do it.
I know, yeah.
But there's not that many rides at Animal Kingdom.
No, there really
isn't. So we went in and we waited for Navi River.
We did. That was our longest wait, I think. It was 25 minutes or something.
Yeah. And was it our longest wait? It might have been.
Longest wait.
25 minutes. And it really wasn't that, it wasn't that bad at all.
Yeah.
And I don't know why we didn't choose to get a Fast Pass or a Genie Plus for that. We opted for something else with the timing. I think we were only trying to go in the morning. That morning.
Yeah. Well,
and it wasn't available until later, so we just decided to wait for it and book something else.
So our Genie Plus reservations for that day, Lightning Lane reservations, were the Kilimanjaro Safaris, Expedition Everest, and then Dinosaur. So those are the ones that we were able to use Genie Plus wise. Remember, we didn't need to use it for Navi River, and we did do an individual Lightning Lane for Flight of Passage. So we paid the extra to get skip through the Flight of Passage line. I mean, the Flight of Passage line is really cool, I think. So I mean, we did use that. So really, we only used the Genie Plus for 3 things at Animal Kingdom. But we didn't have to wait. Really.
Yeah.
The only exception we had that was a problem Genie Plus wise for us, which is weird. We could have. So we got up to this is the second ride. So Rise was the first ride that went down on us, and this would happen
again
decent
later.
Amount of time.
Yeah.
Which I think is just so weird. It didn't used to happen as much, but I don't know. So we went up. So we did everything at Animal Kingdom, and then at the end of the day, we had a 1:00 or 1:30 Dinosaur.
We say end
Genie
of the day
Plus.
because we only planned on being in there for a half day and
Right.
going back.
Right. Yeah. Because we were like, we don't need, because it closes at 8. So for us to it's far away from Wilderness Lodge. So we were just like, we'll see what we get done, and we could have gone back, but we decided not to. So we waited. Dinosaur goes down.
Right at our window.
Right at the window. Mm-hmm. Like we were walking up, and they were like, it just went down. And we were like,
and the thing is, we didn't really want a fast pass, because usually when this happens, they'll let you come back anytime later in the day with your fast pass. If it goes back up, you can use it at any time then, or you can opt to use it for anything else that's not like an additional charge lightning lane. So anything else that's offered on Genie Plus. But we had already done everything, and this was the only day we were going to be in Animal Kingdom, and Dinosaur is mine and Harrison's favorite in that park. Right. So we just sort of wanted to wait to see if it would come back up. And it eventually did it. How long did we wait? Like 40 minutes? An hour?
We waited outside, like kind of just, actually we chilled in an area where no one was.
Yeah.
Like back by Dinosaurs, so it was kind of nice. In this nice shaded area, where the fountains, the dinosaur fountains are. When you exit the park, when you exit the ride. Yeah. Yeah. I don't know why it was so hard for me to say that. Yeah. When you exit the ride, we kind of chilled there, and I actually sort of did. I know we'll probably cover this on our other podcast, but we did wait around. I kind of looked to see inside the shop, and then kind of went back to see what was happening.
Saw cast members leaving their station and coming back, so we were trying to put the puzzle pieces together of whether it was going to come back up or not.
And we did get back up, and we got on the ride, but it was in B mode.
Yes.
There were some elements that were missing. There's one huge show scene with the Carnotaurus, on the right side of the vehicle that just did not happen.
Right.
Which I think is the biggest one, the biggest.
Yeah, that's why I think the picture of us is usually during that, where you're all looking at it, and everyone's terrified, and that's why we were all
it's still
melting,
a really fun ride.
Oh yeah,
and we had a blast on it. And actually, it was funny. People on the ride were people were like, "You guys were fun to go on the ride with," because we love it so much, and we memorized it. So we're kind of saying it with the guy.
Yeah, the cast member that was waiting, outside with us, before it went back up. She wasn't my favorite. She was a little bit of a stick in the mud.
Yeah.
But we overheard her say she thought there might only be a few years left for this ride.
Which we already kind of knew.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah. She said 2, I think. She said 2 years left. There's already been a timeline established. But we'll see. That'll really be a bummer. Because we just love it so much.
It would be really great if they just did something else with the same ride vehicle, though. I know I always talk about that, but okay. So anyways, we eventually got on Dinosaur. I'm glad that we waited, and then we left.
Yeah. And then we'll do this then. So how do you think is Genie Plus, Ash, for Animal Kingdom? Is Genie Plus worth it?
I mean, I guess it depends on you're going to know by hearing our experience whether it was or not. If you can definitely use it for all the rides except for Flight of Passage easily, and do a half day in the park and basically not wait for anything. Or if that's not worth it to you because there's not as many rides and you feel like I can just go and stay for a little bit longer than a half day and wait for everything, then...
It's funny. I wonder next time...
Part of me almost thinks it's more worth it in that park, but...
Next time I might want to do it at night. Kind of go in at 4 and go from 4 to 8.
That's what I would have opted
to do. We should maybe think about that next time.
It would probably be very easy maybe to stack the rides.
Oh my god, it'd be super easy to stack. I think.
And that term is what people use when they're going to go into a park later, in the afternoon, and they just make all Genie Plus reservations for later in the day. So they focus on the most popular rides first that are selling out first, And then every 2 hours, they're going back in, even though they're not in the park, and booking one for that window when they are going to be there later. And you can kind of go in, which we would have an example of. We did this in Magic Kingdom, and just sort of it's like boom, 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 boom.
Right.
And yes,
awesome.
Also, side note, your reservations can overlap. Disney doesn't care if you choose to do that. So
yeah, you can have a 6:20 booked for Everest and then a 6:35 booked for Dinosaur.
Right, and you have like an hour window. And not only they can overlap exactly. I mean, that's up to you. The only time we ever got in trouble with that is Harrison didn't want to go on Splash Mountain, so we had to split up and do it in 2 different...
So it's his
And also the ride is kind of like the longest ride.
Yeah.
So it didn't work in our favor.
But it still worked out.
But we made it to Big Thunder.
To Big Thundries. So I think it's weird. People say it's Genie Plus not really worth it in Animal Kingdom. I don't know. I think it's definitely worth it, especially if you want to avoid that Kilimanjaro line.
I think the lines in Animal Kingdom tend to be a little longer usually.
There's less
to do. So I would almost say do it. I mean, I could see why you wouldn't want to, but I won't want to do it.
There isn't less to do. There isn't. There's a lot to do in Animal Kingdom. You just have to do it Animal Kingdom's way. You know what I mean? Like if you want to
pass.
If you want, yeah, I know Ash passes on
Pash.
these passes, but there is a Tree of Life walkway where you could just literally walk away from everybody and just admire the Tree of Life. There's the Pangani Forest Tropical Rainforest Trail, which is where you see the gorillas. There's the Maharaja Jungle Trek where you could see tigers. Like there actually is a decent amount to do. There's the animation experience over at Conservation Station. Like they're like more chill, like sort of like Animal Kingdom's biggest criticism from a lot of theme park enthusiasts is there are zoo-like things you could do.
Okay, here's my issue with that. Is I actually think those things sound cool. It's just not really something I care to do when I'm at Disney. And Animal Kingdom is already really set far apart. It's like you do a lot of walking when you're there. I don't want to do more walking in an attraction.
Yeah. So one day...
And it's hot as F.
One day I'm going to leave you, and I'm just going to take H.
Or do you mean like just for the attraction or just leave in general?
Just leave you back in the spa
I'll just
or
go.
Something.
No, I'm not going to be in the spa. I'm going to be on Dinosaur.
Before it
I'm going to become part of the attraction. I just want to jump out with the dinosaurs and the black sheets.
Yeah.
Harrison will not like that. He won't want to walk anymore either.
Right.
If we went in like January, I would consider it.
Okay. So I think Animal Kingdom Genie Plus, I think it's worth it. Especially if you're a big Animal Kingdom fan and you want more time to just like chill at Animal Kingdom. It's really up to you, but I think it's worth it.
I think it for most people, because they're not going to do that. If you want to go into Animal Kingdom at night, which is when most people want to go, with Pandora all lit up and everything, just do the stacking. Go in, you can do everything quickly, and then just hang out. So,
a good segue, because the fourth day, our third day in the parks, we stacked, you guys. We attacked our night at Hollywood Studios very well. Okay, very well. So we had this was possibly one of my favorite nights, if not, we had a great time. This was a really great night as well in the parks. Like there was other nights where we were just chilled at the pool, but this night we had a Brown Derby reservation, which we'll go into at another podcast. Mm-hmm. But we stacked Slinky Dog, which was really fun, and it's a good time to do it at night. So we went to Brown Derby, went to Slinky. Oh, I forgot we did the first day we did Toy Story Midway Mania too on Genie Plus.
We did.
Yeah, so it was actually.
We didn't write down everything we did.
We did, yeah, but we. So the first day, sorry guys, we did our Genie Plus reservations were Rockin', Star Tours, Toy Story Midway Mania, Smuggler's Run. Like we did a lot with Genie Plus that first day.
Is there anything we're missing that we did?
Genie Plus.
We also walked out that day after our Rise thing didn't work out, and we did Alien Swirling Saucers.
Yes, which was
just like a walk-on.
Right.
Because I wouldn't really wait for that.
Right. We did stack that. We did Brown Derby, we did Slinky. We finally got on Rise with our individual Lightning Lane, which this is where a little bit of a controversy comes into play. Should we talk about it now, or do you want to wait?
No,
for that?
I feel like we gotta keep going.
All right, let's do it.
I want to actually say our actual thoughts like at the end.
So we also did
by day,
We also did Tower of Terror with Genie Plus and Smuggler's Run again with Genie Plus and Mickey and Minnie's Runaway Railway. So we really stacked and we really used it very well. That's how when that stacking element really comes into play, because you could really just make your night awesome because you have to wait in any lines and you just go and enjoy yourself and just get on everything quick. So so then and then we did this. Next day we went into Magic Kingdom at night, and holy cow, this was definitely our biggest stack fest. Because we were going at night, we knew that we could just overlap a bunch of stuff. We got on so many things. We got a Pier Pad, Small World, Big Thunder, Little Mermaid, Haunted Mansion, Jungle Cruise, Pirates of the Caribbean, the Hall of Presidents.
And this was all after. So we had a dining reservation from 5 to 6. We probably didn't get into the park until like 6:15, 6:30.
Yeah.
So I mean, we did all of that in a matter of like 3 hours almost. The Hall of Presidents was later, like 3 or 4 hours. We did that many rides and didn't wait at all.
Yeah.
Because we like got a snack somewhere else.
Tiki room. Yeah, we did so much that night.
We did.
It was awesome.
We didn't walk into the park till almost 7. It was crazy.
Oh, we didn't do Tiki room that day. You're right. Sorry,
we didn't do Tiki room that day. Yeah.
Yeah, but what an incredible! Like that was the day. That was the day you and I sort of looked at each other with. Sorry, Rose is just really trying to get out. That was the day. We really kind of looked at each other and say, man, Genie Plus is like really working.
And I think that, the one thing to think about too is like those numbers sound really good. And even when they don't, like even going through our Animal Kingdom day, it's not about the amount of Genie Plus reservations you can get all the time. No. It's about the time you save.
Yeah.
So if it's only 3, but you saved 45 minutes at one of them, 30 minutes at another one, and then an hour or whatever at a bigger one. I mean, that's a huge time savings. Yeah. And especially if you're standing out in the heat, that makes a huge difference on your day.
Right.
So, it's not just like, I think the ones when we talk about Hollywood Studios and Magic Kingdom sound really impressive, and they are because, it's like we did 7 things. But the other ones save you a lot of time. It saves you a lot of time.
It does.
If you only get 3. And
that time can be used just chilling at the pool. Like you can really think about taking a break if you want. Mm-hmm. Doing other things, like not, standing in a line the whole time. So, that was a very powerful demonstration.
Sometimes when you do half days, you think like, we bought a ticket and, it kind of makes you feel like you can take it easy more. Mm-hmm. Obviously at a cost, right? Like an actual cost.
Right.
But it did, and also, I mean, I'm sure you put together at this point, we did not do park hoppers. That's what we opted to give up. And the price was about the same. It was a little bit more to do the Genie Plus. There were 5 of us. If you had a party of 4, I would say it'd probably end up being about the same to forego the park hopper and do Genie Plus. And I know I'm skipping ahead here, but I would always pick that now.
Right.
I think it trumps a park hopper.
Yeah, and there's a bit of a wrinkle too with Genie Plus and
which we didn't do,
and park hopping because you have to make
it's a
sure.
Whole other thing. That
at a certain point, you've got to start.
When are we going to leave
booking for the other one?
Yeah.
And that's a lot to keep track of. Oh my god.
Well, right, and the way that you're gonna wanna, get into the park early and make sure that it's a lot.
And lastly, the park where Genie Plus didn't really like impact us as much as we wanted would be Epcot. I think that was the least Genie Plus.
Yeah, I think
Lightning
so too.
Lane.
But we also didn't like. I feel like we could have done it differently. Right now, it just didn't.
Well, we did. I mean, okay. I would say that take that with I guess a grain of salt. We did get on Soarin'. Eventually, we'd get on.
Still took a while. I mean, that
It
line
did.
in general is just it takes
Well,
because of the loading, unloading. The way
reason
it works.
why Soarin' took so long was because Test Track went down and everyone just because there's nothing to do in Future World still. Like there is, but there isn't. So everybody went from Test Track, which takes a lot of people, and everybody went over to Soarin', and everybody who had a Lightning Lane, given to them because Test Track went down, used it for Soarin'. So it took Soarin' forever. That was the longest line, I'm sorry. That was definitely the longest, and that was a Lightning Lane that we used. So
it's not surprising
So
to me.
yeah, after we used a Living with the Land Lightning Lane, which was fun.
But I feel like they
Why
had
not?
one of the theaters down for some reason.
Yeah,
That was
Soarin'.
another thing to note too. Tower of Terror had one of the elevators down.
Yeah.
So it was like
elevator bank. It's weird.
I almost feel like they were doing it to maybe inflate the wait times.
Maybe.
Because there were long wait times at Tower of Terror, like 2 hours some of the days
Right.
and stuff.
Right. Totally. So interesting. Now, okay, so because of the debacle with Test Track, we kind of waited a while hoping Test Track would come back up because it's Harris's absolute favorite ride. Mm-hmm. So we lost time trying to wait for it. Well, then so then we're like, okay, well, it's time to go to our Soarin' Lightning Lane. So we finally went to our Soarin' Lightning Lane. And I kept checking my app. And it did not, the Test Track thing didn't go away. And it didn't give me an all experiences Lightning Lane.
Like it normally does. That's
Yeah.
what happens when it goes down. It will tell you can come back anytime, usually, and use it. Or you can opt to use it for another attraction.
At any time. So whatever
So, right,
happened.
everyone went over to Soarin',
Yeah.
and I think what happened, and I know you disagree. I think it was maybe something.
It clicked
We
on.
had already had a Soarin' Genie Plus
Yes.
outside of that
Yeah.
already.
Yeah.
But when we clicked into Soarin', I think the system got confused and thought, oh, they're using their Test Track one over at Soarin' instead.
Yes.
Because we got off Soarin' and our Fast Pass or our Genie Plus reservation was still there. So I was like, this is what I
Now,
think.
let me tell you, that did not show up on my app. On the phone,
Mine
it
did when I looked at it.
It did not show up in mine, which is a technological problem, which they were very well aware of. So I waited. You guys left after we did Living with the Land. And I stayed and I waited in the guest experiences, the blue umbrellas with the people with the blue shirts. And I waited to, explain that I want my Test Track Lightning Lane back. And, and then I thought to myself, I should probably get another one because we lost a lot of time.
We did.
We lost because not only did we wait we kind of chilled around Test Track for almost an hour. We got pretzels and we did the Connections store and we shopped and we kind of waited just to see if Test Track would come back up. It didn't. So
Well, it's also important to note that we were able to get on Cosmic Rewind first thing in the morning that
Right, with
morning.
an
And
individual
my
lightning.
dad,
Yeah.
yes, I was individual. My dad ended up not feeling super great after that ride, which is a whole other thing that we will review. But we kind of were taking it easy and just sort of
right.
sitting there because he wasn't feeling super great from the ride.
Yes. Totally not. So I went up to her and I said, hey, listen, we've lost a lot of time. And then we went into the Soarin' line and the Soarin' Lightning Lane took forever. And I was like, we actually lost a lot of time. I would like to have two. I would like my Test Track and something else.
Well, I mean, really one, right? We wanted our Test Track one back because we didn't get it. It wasn't showing up anymore.
Right.
And then we feel like we should get an additional.
Well, yeah, because we're paying money to save time, and we lost a lot of time. So they gave us Remy. She was like, which one do you want? I said Remy. So it's like it's the newest ride. We haven't been on which I really loved Remy.
It would
I thought
obviously
was really
be
good.
between Soren, or I mean, Frozen at that point,
Right,
and
and
Remy's. But yeah, we hadn't done Remy's yet, which I'm glad we used it for that because the wait time was long. And while I think the ride is cute, I don't think I would ever wait an hour for that ride.
Right,
ever.
right. So we did get, the bonus of getting Remy, which was good. So Genie Plus was decent at Epcot, but, just, I think because it might have been just our experience, but I would say it's probably lowest on the list of must-have Genie Plus,
You can probably skip the Epcot date.
Right. So, yeah, I don't know if you really need to do it for Epcot, but that's just our experience, too. And then, of course, last day, MK, same thing. We did a bunch of stacking, and it was amazing. So, I don't think we need to go into super detail about that. But let's just talk, Ash. We got, a few more minutes.
Yeah.
Let's talk about what would you rate Genie Plus, or you don't even have to say that. Just, do you like Genie Plus? Would you use it? And do you recommend it?
It kind of pains me to say it, but I think if you have money in the budget to get it, it's going to make your experience a lot more enjoyable. I really think so. And I hate to say it. And I know they're maybe in the works of revamping it. But we did experience some hiccups. It doesn't come without hiccups. I also think, and I now, because it's a paid service, it's a paid for add-on thing, when you walk through the Genie Plus line or the Lightning Lane, there's like a vibe.
You get some glares?
Yeah, you do. I feel like before with FastPass Plus, you didn't, because everyone was getting them for some rides and not others. And when someone was walking through, you're like, oh, that's their FastPass thing. Now you're, the reason that they're waiting, essentially. I mean, as long as they are.
Yes.
Most people don't realize how many people that go onto a ride in an hour is like 80% the Genie Plus or FastPass people.
Yes.
So essentially, by more people taking advantage of the service, you are putting everyone else in a longer line.
Yes.
And it's kind of becomes this cycle.
Yeah.
So did it make a huge difference in our visit?
Yes.
I think so. Would I always opt to get that over a park hopper? Yes. I think it made our experience amazing, especially when it's hot or if you're traveling with people and it's hard to wait in lines and you don't want to. Now, it's also important to note that we went during, it was summer, moderate crowd levels. I don't know how this fares during lower crowd levels, if it feels as worth it. I've heard stories of lightning lanes being longer than the regular line sometimes, or how it fares in higher crowds because there's more people trying to reserve things.
Right.
I have heard that moderate crowds are your best bang for your buck with Genie Plus,
which we had.
Yeah. But I mean, we waited in 2 or 3 lines?
Yeah,
regular
it really
lines,
wasn't bad.
And we made the most of our day and still had a really relaxing and fun trip.
So here's the other thing about too, which I didn't even think about until you were talking about it, because you're so brilliant. Yeah. Think about this, you guys. All right, so Ash and I, and her mom, we ordered groceries. We ordered food for our room. Mm-hmm. Okay? Saved us a ton of money.
Oh, yeah.
I did not realize, the last time Ash and I went, we decided we weren't going to do that. And we paid for every single meal.
Well, we don't actually usually do it when it's the 3 of us.
No, we don't. But we paid for every single meal. It was just the 3 of us.
Quick service.
I spent a lot of money.
We spent a lot of money.
But yeah, it's just I remember I was doing it in the credit card. So it was holy cow, this really adds up. So here's the interesting thing, and another perk, a hidden perk of Genie Plus. Okay, think about it this way. Okay, if you are going to the park and you guys just have one meal in the park, that's basically your Genie Plus for the day. Mm-hmm. One quick service meal is really...
That's $15. I would say that your quick service meal would be more.
It might be more. So, if you want... Yeah, probably. The quick service meal would probably be more. think about it this way. Maybe order, some lunch stuff, some lunch
To throw
groceries.
some numbers at you real quick. We ate quick service the day we arrived because we hadn't gotten our groceries yet. We went to Roaring Fork at the Wilderness Lodge, and we all got something,
$75.
$75 for 5 of us to eat there, which isn't bad. But just to keep that number in mind. We ordered groceries for the whole trip, other than that, for breakfast and lunch, and we spent like $175 total for the 5 of us, and we're all eaters. We love to eat.
Right.
So we ate breakfast and lunch in the room, sometimes dinner too. But I mean, think about that number. I was like, for how many days were we there? 7 days? And we had more than enough. We brought food home with us.
So if you use Genie Plus effectively, and you have spent the money already, you are going to save so much time. And it's going to give you time to go back and eat the food that you ordered, rather than going to Pico's Bills and spending X amount of dollars.
Who doesn't love Pico's Bills?
We love Pico's Bills,
my
which
gosh.
we did not go. We walked inside of it, but we didn't eat there.
I love those
nachos. I
nachos.
know. There's some things we really missed this trip.
We should include that in our meal planning for home. Pico's Bills nachos.
We should. Grade F meat.
That's all you need. Lots of grease.
Kidding.
Fake
No,
cheese.
I'm sure it's better. But that's it. That's an interesting thing. Like, think about it from that way. Like, if you're gonna have meals at Disney, if you're gonna go to the quick services, and you're committed to that, is that really maybe there's other ways you could save money and save time by
We
using
did
Genie
stay
Plus.
in a 2-bedroom and stuff, but you guys, you can do this in a regular hotel room or a studio room. You can buy lunch meat, whatever, have bread, have things for sandwiches, cereal. You can put milk in there for breakfast. There are things you can do to make it work. We actually didn't have that much stuff in our fridge.
Right.
I mean, most of it was just Doritos and junk
And I budgeted a decent amount of for just expenses on the trip, park expenses, just trip expenses.
Well, that's separate than Genie Plus, but I think that...
Well, it is, but I'm just saying...
we were going back and forth between a Park Hopper and Genie Plus, and we decided to just not do the Park Hopper, which I know some people really love, because if you're staying on the boardwalk, it's nice to be able to just walk into Epcot no matter where you were earlier in the day.
Every day
whatever.
you're there, yeah.
So I get it, but I think if you're choosing between the two, it wasn't a big deal for us to go back to the same park in the evening. I would always pick Genie Plus over the Park Hopper now.
Yeah.
With how this last trip went. Always. And it's not to say, we'll get to it next time, there were some definite things that happened that were not handled very well, even though we did what we were supposed to do with Genie Plus, and it was a little frustrating. Luckily for us, we go back and we're DVC members, and we were actually in Hollywood Studios with the Rise of the Resistance thing another day, but there are people that have been waiting years to get on something,
those early days,
and then are told something, and then they go wait, and then they're told, no, you can't do that.
Yeah.
And so that's really frustrating that they did what they were told, and now they can't end up getting on this ride that they paid for.
Yeah.
So, things like that they need to figure out. I will say before we sign off, though, that we saw a ton of people training other cast members. Every pool we were at, every time we were there, they were training lifeguards. They were training, I don't know if you saw, I saw them training cast members on the Jungle Cruise.
Yeah.
There was, I don't know if they're having more turnover or if they're just trying to ramp up how many people they have working in the parks.
I think it's probably ramping up for summer, and there's kids coming, school, college stuff, it's probably that, but who knows? It's probably just... in general.
There was also a school trip of kids staying at the Contemporary, and I was like, what kind of school is this?
Very, very fancy school. Very fancy
bougie
school. So we, Genie Plus, like Ashley said, it is a win.
Time is money at Disney. I always say that, and I'd rather spend it on that than spend it on food in the parks. But that's me.
I think we definitely benefited too, because we were pretty much there at moderate crowd levels, which is not the highest it could be. So maybe it would be very different for us, if it was, a much busier time. We kind of went the week before most school districts were getting out, which I think benefited us. But, the other caveat of Genie Plus is I looked at the phone a lot to try, and it's weird. Like, there, guys, strange things happen with Genie Plus. So if you think something's really late, keep going back and forth out of it.
Yes, you can go back and forth, and you might get a really different time frame.
Yes.
Like at one point when we were in Epcot, Frozen had been sold out at this point. It was done. And I logged in randomly, like you kept looking, and the one time I logged in under your account, we were looking at the same account, it was there. There was one time slot available that we opted not to take.
Right.
But yeah, if you go in and out of stuff, sometimes you'll be waiting for the time to move back because you're going to be there later in the day, and all of a sudden you'll be like, okay, it's moved back 10 minutes. Now it's moved back 10 minutes again, and then you'll refresh, and all of a sudden it'll be back. To like earlier in the day by like 3 hours, and then it'll quickly go away. So it's like people cancel them or something. So just keep looking.
Go back in and out if you do want to keep trying for one, because you never know. People like Ash said, people cancel. People
and always click on it. Let's say the time isn't what you want, but it's kind of close. Always click on it.
Yeah, because sometimes
after you click on it, then the time it gives you after that
is even
might
different.
Even more different than you think.
So try try going all the way through the process. We obviously without confirming it.
Yeah, don't do that.
So, but unless you really want to. But yeah, I mean, I have to say, it's a bummer that like Fast Pass is, because I feel like do they really need to charge money for this? But I guess they're making good money off of it, so they are trying to they are a company for profit.
In a way, though, you think about it, it's really not that much different than Fast Pass Plus, because you could always make more. You just had to use all three first.
Right. So
it felt different.
Yeah, it did feel different.
But we were setting our alarms and getting up at 6:55.
Oh yeah, I mean we were doing that every single day.
And we don't really sleep in a ton, but the time difference makes a difference, and you're tired from and stuff. But mostly good things to say from me. I was pleasantly surprised.
Yeah, it really, really worked well for us. It really did. So, Genie Plus is a plus if you're going to use it.
Yep.
Yes. And if you. Yeah, it just was. So, definitely I would say the best park is Magic Kingdom for it, followed by Studios, then Animal Kingdom, and then Epcot's probably last.
Although I would say my only note between those two is that while Magic Kingdom has more attractions, I feel like almost all attractions at Hollywood Studios are like those ticket attractions, like
E-ticket attractions.
E-ticket?
E-ticket.
I don't know why I said E-ticket.
Yeah.
Like almost everything there is a must-do, which is not really the case at Magic Kingdom. I mean, it's kind of close, but it almost more worth it in that way, because things like Small World typically don't have a huge line, where even like Toy Story Mania at Hollywood Studios or Aliens Rolling Saucers will.
Yes.
So
yes,
kind of neck and neck with those two for me. I think it's easier to use at Magic Kingdom simply because there are so many attractions that you can always find something.
Yes. So, all right, guys. I guess our worries and frustrations for Genie Plus, now that we've used it, have somewhat dissipated. You're gonna hear us sprinkle in and talk about it more and more over the next few podcasts.
But if you guys have any specific questions we didn't cover, you can email us. Magic in the Midwest podcast @gmail.com, and we can try and go over or write you back.
Yes, we would love to hear from you. Yes. Especially if you're going soon. So, All right, ladies and gentlemen, from the Midwest. See you later.